great day. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you and your families were able to enjoy some time together. And I just want to say I'm grateful for all of you who are tuned in and have subscribed. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and send it to your friends, please. Thank you. I wanted to talk a little bit today about how we just change in seasons and what happens. So for me, I always have some type of neurologic maybe progression or symptoms at Thanksgiving. I have no idea if it's the weather change, seasonal, these things happen. So I'm always kind of aware of, oh gosh, what adaptations am I going to have to make? How do I navigate? Like I think you've heard me say, being physically disabled is like living on quicksand. You get your footing for a minute and you feel like, hey, I got this, it's all good, and then all of a sudden everything changes. So I was at the airport and I saw someone in a very cool scooter, and it was before I got the new braces, which I want to talk about. And I thought, wow, that looks really good. Like I wouldn't mind being in that. I was tired and it looked easier. And I, for a very long time, have not thought about what that would be. And while I don't think it's any time in the imminent future, it is going to be my future. I am going to, at some point, need a wheelchair. Could be 10 years from now, I don't know. But always at this time of year, I kind of take stock of where I am. I'm very grateful that I'm able to be mobile. I have my new braces, which are amazing, amazing, amazing. I have a little TikTok on and Instagram about how much I love my new braces. They're broken in, but I have some neuropathic pain right now. I'm a little more tired. And my kids were in town. We were at some museums and I found myself sitting more and letting them doing their thing and moving a little slower. And I always hate it because I feel like I'm a burden, but I also know that I'm really good at kind of making the adaptation and what is the change? What do I need to do? So some of it is some self-care. So I know that I have a little more neuropathic pain. I'm not feeling as great. Last night I went and got my hair done. Thank you, Zizi. It looks beautiful. And I also bought some new books so I can sit and just read a little bit. I had taken the week to be with family, which was incredible. I've gotten my life organized again and I'm ready to roll, but with some, I think, grace and care that I'm not feeling 100%. And so it's always a juggling act. I want to do everything. I always have. I have a lot of energy, but I also need to manage the energy because as I have a small progression, I need to figure out what is my footing on the quicksand? What can I do? What can't I do? And how do I make that okay? People who are disabled will tell you that you feel awful burdening people. You feel awful asking for help. You just feel like you're a burden, and no one wants to be a burden. And so as I come up with new accommodations of what I need when, let's say, I have neuropathic pain in my feet, maybe I wear different shoes. Maybe they're a little less pretty, but they're more comfortable. Or maybe I'm walking a little bit less. Or maybe I'm driving more. So just things that I have to accommodate. And again, I am good at it, but I also find myself getting reflective on what I've done through the year, where I am today. I don't know why. Every Thanksgiving, I have some type of progression of my disease and I end up having more pain or I'm weak. I do think it's got to be the weather change. Like I go from, warm weather to cold, and maybe it's the cold, maybe just the shock of the cold. I have, on top of everything else, Raynaud's. So my hands, when it gets really cold, like they can't move at all. They're like frozen. So I'm in gloves now. I know that I cannot go outside without gloves. Those days are gone. I have to wear gloves. I know that it's cold. I have to have, a warm coat on that's long. When you wear ankle foot orthotics, the material on the brace gets very, very cold. And so I have to have good socks on underneath. So these are just things little tricks that I have to make life a little bit easier. And I am keenly aware of that right now. I'm not always aware of that right now, but I am today, and I have been this weekend and this morning when I was working out and felt a little more tired than usual. And I thought, that's interesting. I think coming from a place of curiosity about what your body's doing. So I don't panic. I don't, it's just not how it is. I know this stuff is going to happen, but I'm curious. I'm curious if I try to sleep more, if I try to eat better, if I do divide exercise into twice a day, if I try to get better sleep, whatever it is that you do that makes you feel better, just be curious, because these changes happen when you have physical disabilities. The body changes. And oh, by the way, the body changes for everyone. Like there are no humans who don't have bodies that age. And so how do you deal with that change? What do you do? And how are you curious about how you make the adaptation so that you don't feel like you're a victim, or you don't feel like, oh my gosh, not me. I don't want that. And it's not that I want it. It's just, this is what it is. Just what it is. I have to fix it. I have to come up with an accommodation, and I need to take responsibility for it. I need to be curious about my body. If in a few days I'm really not feeling better, obviously I'm going to call a doctor, because I'm going to say, hey, I'm not feeling great. But I also know that every year this is the same for me. And so I'm wondering if anyone else has any struggles with the change in season, and how do you navigate accommodations? What do you do when there's a change, when your footing has changed in the landscape and you're not stable anymore and you need to do things a little differently? I actually met the most charming woman, and I'm going to insert a picture, who had canes, but the type that clip onto your arm, and she was using two of them. Her name is Molly, and she's a young girl, and she liked my cane. And so we were talking, and I just took a picture of her cane, and she said, they're really easy. She feels much more stable. I'm not there yet, but I think they are in my future, and I really appreciated her stopping me and asking me about my cane, and we got to chat about it, and she was precious, absolutely precious. So I did really appreciate that. But again, every time I see a scooter or I see different types of canes, I think to myself, just take note, because at some point you may need something like that. And I do think that I'm planful about changes. It's just how I always have been. So again, have you thought about this? What are you doing? How do you navigate it? And I just want to say, we're all good. We got this, warriors. We got this. We are amazing. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep trucking along and getting everything done that we need to do. I value you all. I appreciate how hard it is. And more importantly, we're in this together. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.